Welcome to another episode where we are promoting African spiritual healing wisdom thanks to Nana Korantemaa Ayeboafo, the Okomfo, serving as the channel so we can communicate with Nana Boafo Tigare, the African Angel. Here we are so grateful that this information is available because of the service of Okomfo, such as Nana Korantemaa. It's information that our African ancestors cherished. They lived by in their communities until, of course, there was destruction and enslavement, and this information was not passed on generation from generation. But here it is available, and we're delighted to share it with you. Mm-hmm. So please remember to subscribe, like us, share the video, and offer comments. So I'm Dr. Barbara Wallace, and I will be the interviewer for today. We're going to be asking questions of Nana Boafo Tigare based on the book Celestial Prophecies, Ancient Wisdom from Nana A.C. Ketua, channeled from the third quarter of the heavens by Nana Korantemaa Ayeboafo. And you'll find a link to order this book in our description below. Just an invitation, you can also have your own personal spiritual reading where you could arrange it by email with Nana Korantemaa, and Nana would serve as the Okomfo, offering answers to your questions from Boafo Tigare. Her email is nana@starspirit.org. Wonderful opportunity that I highly recommend. So let's begin. Nana AC tells us that we can access information by tuning into and resonating with the worlds above and below. We can intuit this information arising from being in a state of vibration that is in tune with the other worlds and in tune with the source of creation. This requires trusting our own intuitive power and inner knowing. Okomfo, ask Boafo Tigare to talk about how we can achieve such a state of internal resonance with other worlds.
Mm-hmm. Consciously look at yourself as being a part of a magnificent universe created by a divine energy, a divine spirit that is compassionate, loving. I'm wanting to find the words that resonates with being embraced, where one feels that they are cherished or they are sacred, they are glorious. That the relationship with the divine creative spirit to human beings is just that. That often through accumulation of lies, accumulation of disdain, chaotic, destructive thoughts and energy, many people go through life polarized to a negative stance of themselves. However, each and every one is equally as important and precious as the other. There is no thing of one person being above everybody. It is not true. This is a lie. That each one must accept themselves in a way that acknowledges that they are one with the divine. In fact, each person is love, light, and divine. These three things. However, because of the programming, because of domination, because things have been so far out of control that many people have lost their way, meaning they have lost their true sense of self. And so they act out, some like animals, some like, what did you call, monsters. This behavior is what has been learned through being in an environment of inequity, an environment of lies and destruction. So now, each person must seek ways that they can shake off this trauma and transform themselves into their true selves. And it requires many elements of discipline, of time, of love, and in embracing and accepting. It requires many elements. However, it can be done. You can return to a sense, as a place of self-harmony. It is first to acknowledge that like a room that has much debris, it can be cleaned up with intention, with focus, and with action.
So, you've given us a very powerful affirmation that we can all use, which is, I am love, I am light, I am divine, I am love, I am light, I am divine. And if you were to affirm that early in the morning, as soon as you rise, that you certainly would be in a state of vibration that is in tune with the creative source and certainly with other worlds above and below. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful teaching, wonderful teaching. Nana AC also explains that we are living in a period of time when we are developing heightened intuitive knowing, and our increasing intuitive powers enable us to determine when we are receiving information which is genuine versus hearing something that is a falsehood. We intuitively know, oh, that, yes, that. Nana AC says we should ask ourselves, is this to be accepted for my growth and improvement? Then one should sense one's own intuitive knowing upon asking that question. Okomfo asked Boafo Tigare to speak about the importance of this increasing intuitive knowing at this time, when many people still want to use information to manipulate and overpower others.
Yes. This requires space, or what most people call time. In that the environment of acceptance, again, has to be created. And in a society where there is a lack of the wisdom of elders, you see, in traditional societies, there were always a group of elders or wisdom keepers where one could visit and discuss or share how they were feeling and to ask questions. Because there is a lack of these bodies within this society, there must be a space developed whereby one can, again, quiet their mind and seek out those elders, or seek out those in the community who are fine examples of caring for life, of sharing for life. Some people still have elder members in their families who can give compassionate and good advice. When this is not so accessible, you can rely on your inner voice. However, you must create a disciplined cycle or agenda or schedule within your everyday affairs or within your weekly affairs where you can be silent and still and focus on your inner self. And in your heart, where all the secrets and answers to questions lie.
So that intuitive knowing really comes along with a disciplined practice of sitting silently and being able to tune into one's inner core, one's inner self, to be able to ask those questions and in silence to attune to what one's own heart seems to be saying. At the same time, very, very practical advice that there are many of us who do have access to elders, and there's nothing like being able to go to an elder and for them to be the sounding board. I heard this, I heard that. So what do you think? What is your advice? And to communicate in that way. Okay. So Nana AC talks about how this is a time when information that was scattered is now coming together. Information is returning to its source. Okomfo, ask Boafo Tigare to explain how information is coming together or returning to its source.
Well, there is now available to most people the what do you call it? Internet.
Yes.
The computer internet.
Yes.
Now, more information, being able to access information more readily is possible because of the technology. It doesn't mean that everything that you hear and say is the truth. However, there is information that speaks about a different perspective than what you may have only heard, you may have had already, but that perspective is now more than one. So it can allow you to ask questions, to do research, and gain entry to areas where there is information, so you can explore. In other words, one does not have to be content with just one place or one stream of information, because there are many others now, and you can gain access when you put the intention within your heart and before you to gain information, to gain guidance about a given subject. Then you magnetize it so that now you can find it somewhere. However, action after the intention must be there. Also, before you rest at once the sun is down and you get chance for resting, have an intention or a question that you want to gain the information about before you sleep. And that intuitive energy within you can bring forth information, sometimes in dreams, so that when you arise, you will have at least some guidance towards the answers that you seek.
Okay, so very good suggestion. So before we go to bed tonight, might we think of an issue where we could use some guidance and to pose the question and to allow that intuitive knowing to come forward, so that by the time we arise, we are more than we were when we went to sleep in terms of having this information. So we are truly blessed and honored, and we might acknowledge that the information that has been scattered, that's coming together, this is what this podcast is all about, promoting African spiritual healing wisdom that some people thought was lost. It was not lost. Actually was not forgotten. It just was not passed on from generation to generation because of wars and the destruction of enslavement. So here we are celebrating that Nana Boafo Tigare is able to answer these questions with the service of Nana Korantemaa Ayeboafo. So please remember to subscribe, to like us, to share this video, and to comment. Write down that affirmation that came forth that is so powerful. I am love. I am light. I am divine. I am love. I am light. I am divine. And in addition, you might comment what touched you the most in this session. Perhaps it was that affirmation. Please remember that you too can have the experience of sitting with Nana Boafo Tigare, Nana Korantemaa Ayeboafo, of course, on the phone, where you can ask personal questions about your work, your family, any decision you have to make. And it's also possible to have that experience once a week, twice a month, to have a package of mentoring and coaching with it for 3 to 6 months. Very powerful experience that I can personally attest to. More videos are coming. And please note that in the description below, there's also the link where you can donate to the Asona Aberade Shrine to support our work of disseminating or promoting African spiritual healing wisdom. Thank you for being our listening audience today, and I give you my love from the core of my being.